I've always thought you can tell a lot about a person based on their favourite Hayao Miyazaki film. Totoro speaks to a sense of childish wonder and nostalgia, spirited away as a genre-defining piece of art. For me, I think that film will always be The Wind Rises. Maybe not the most whimsical or glamorous considering it's a semi-fictionalized biopic based on the guy who designed the Japanese military's fighter planes in World War II. But hey, what can you do? But why does this film speak to me? I guess to stroke my own ego a little, it's the artistic dilemmas that the film is built upon. How Jiro struggles with building his magnum opus considering what it will be used for and the destruction it may bring. Because that's the crux of The Wind Rises. It's Miyazaki's magnum opus as an artist and his self-reflection of his, 40-year career? So yeah, let's take a look at The Wind Rises and examine it under the lens of it being a self-reflection of Miyazaki's career and a story of the artist's dilemma. So what do I mean by the artist's dilemma that this film encompasses? Well, luckily, The Wind Rises wears its thesis pretty clearly on its sleeve if you know where to look, and it all lies in this idea.
Which would you choose? A world with pyramids or without?
The pyramids are great, beautiful, powerful monuments. A testament to the unbending will of humanity to create something impactful and everlasting. But they are built on the backs of slave labor, something terrible and a fundamental evil. So when Caproni poses this question to Jiro, it leaves us with this internal conflict. Would we want to live in a world with the grand magnificence of the pyramids, at the cost of the suffering and deaths of thousands upon thousands of slaves? Or would we want to live in a world without the suffering of those slaves, but the consequence of not having the beauty of the pyramids within it? And this is The Wind Rises' thesis. Is great, beautiful art worth the tragedy it entails? And this is the artist's dilemma that Jiro faces within the film. Planes are dreams, beautiful, wild, untamable dreams. They're Caproni and Jiro's art. But the time they are in and the countries they are in dictate that their art will be used for something terrible.
Airplanes are beautiful, cursed dreams, waiting for the sky to swallow them up.
It's no mistake that the only countries we see in this film are Italy, Japan, and Germany, with the film taking place mostly in the late 1930s. This setting within the Axis powers at their height ensures that the art of Caproni and Jiro will be commandeered for war, will be used to bring death to the innocent, will be used to burn the earth. And so are these dreams worth chasing? Is the cost of participating in war and seeing your creation be used as a tool of death worthwhile? And I can't believe I'm saying this, but the titular wind of The Wind Rises is what ties a nice little bow on this. The film continuously returns to this quote. The wind is rising, we must try to live. An excerpt from Paul Valéry's, and excuse my French, Les Cimetières Maris, or The Graveyard by the Sea.
Le vent s'élève? It's a French poem.
Il faut tenter de vivre.
Now, I am verifiably terrible at literary analysis. I barely scraped through my English Lit GCSEs and I have a computer science degree. William Wordsworth, I am not. But you can't separate the film from the poem, so bear with me here. The poem's content is a reflection of death and a slow acceptance of its inevitability and place in the natural order of the world. The opening of the poem, this quiet roof where dovetails saunter by, between the pines the tombs throbs visibly. Impartial moon patterns the sea in flame, that sea forever starting and restarting. Intertwines the tombs on the edge of the ocean with the natural landscape and wildlife. From the start, death is natural, and Valéry continues to reckon with this idea. So when the final stanza begins stating, the wind is rising, we must try to live, it is a direct call to action that the poem has not moved to incorporate until this point. If death is a natural inevitability, then it is not something to be feared, therefore we should spend our life living every moment as we want. The wind is rising, meaning adversity is coming. So we must live, we must overcome the strife. The wind is a symbol of change in Valéry's perspective through the poem. And when the winds of change come, we must overcome the adversity to live life. In another word, when tragedy comes, we must find the beauty in that. Returning to The Wind Rises, whenever the wind is a presence within the film, it is a signifier of great change, and of a tribulation Jiro must face. Before the earthquake strikes in the film's first act, for instance, the wind rises. Signifying the coming tragedy. But in this, Jiro faces the adversity, tries to live, and is rewarded by meeting his future wife, Nahoko. And it is Jiro and Nahoko's relationship that is the best showcase of the wind's coming change and as a harbinger of adversity. Every defining moment in their relationship is in some way related to the wind, whether it be their initial meeting, them encountering each other again years later, bonding with the paper aeroplane, And this is because every moment of their relationship, while a beautiful and loving bond, is tinged with the inevitability of Nahoko's tragic death due to tuberculosis. In a sense, their love is a beautiful, tragic dream, like Jiro's planes. And this is most prominent in the film's finale. On the same day that Jiro finally perfects the Zero Fighter, achieving his magnum opus, Nahoko leaves to die at the infirmary so that Jiro remembers her for how she was. In the moment he creates his greatest beauty, Jiro also suffers his greatest tragedy. And what is symbolic of this? The Wind. The Wind Rises is a film about the constant push and pull between beauty and tragedy. The film demonstrates that the two are concepts that exist in a constant state of flux, tied together by the constant moving nature of the world, the wind. When we do something beautiful, it will be at a cost, and when we face adversity, something beautiful will come from it. In parallel to The Graveyard by the Sea, a poem about the cyclical nature of life and death, The Wind Rises is about the cyclical nature of beauty and tragedy, in life and in art. The wind is rising, we must try to live, is Miyazaki's final thesis. So, who is Caproni? It's a silly question, right? I meant it metaphorically, you ding-dong. Caproni is Miyazaki's author stand-in, and Jiro is us, the audience. And so I posit, The Wind Rises is Miyazaki's personal reflection on what his career to this point is.
Artists are only creative for 10 years. We engineers are no different. Live your 10 years well, Japanese boy.
Caproni says that every artist has 10 years of greatness, a period of time where they work at their best to produce their greatest magnum opus. And in this, Caproni is coming towards the end of his 10 years as an artist, handing the reins of his work off to Jiro as a spiritual successor of sorts.
Airplanes are not tools for war. They are not for making money. Airplanes are beautiful dreams. Engineers turn dreams into reality.
For a bit of background, The Wind Rises was intended to be Miyazaki's final film before he came out of retirement to make The Boy and the Heron, and so we see Caproni as a reflection of Miyazaki, artists at the end of their 10 years of greatness, passing on the torch to future generations. In fact, this goes deeper with Caproni using his art to give livelihood to those close to him and retiring to be with his family, a parallel to Miyazaki helping found the Ghibli Museum and a nursery next to the offices, and, well, retiring to spend time with his family. The philosophy and ideals that Caproni imparts upon Jiro can therefore be taken as a direct insert of Miyazaki's worldviews. The documentary The Never-Ending Man gives insight to the creation of many Ghibli films. Miyazaki's art historically has come at a price, that being the grueling labour that he himself and others have gone through to produce the finished products of his film. Many of those who have worked closely with him have explained that Miyazaki is a perfectionist, requiring every cell of animation to be personally approved by him, and this work process has burnt out many who were unable to keep up with his perfectionist demands, a reason to why he doesn't have a true successor within the company. So when Caproni asks Jiro if he thinks the tragedy inherently tied to the creation of art is worth its enduring beauty, it is Miyazaki asking his audience if the tribulations that they may face are worth what may result from it. And through Caproni, Miyazaki makes his answer clear.
But still, I choose a world with pyramids in it.
Art is worth the cost. And with this, Caproni leaves, handing the reins of artistry over to Jiro, and entrusting him with the idea that he will make something great. This encapsulates The Wind Rises' existence. Miyazaki's farewell to those that revered him and his work, and telling them to never doubt themselves in their quest to make something beautiful. And this idea is entrenched when we look at Miyazaki's other works with the context of The Wind Rises behind them. Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind is probably the work that benefits the most from this retrospective viewing. If we take The Wind Rises in its initial context, Miyazaki's final film, then his filmography is bookended by films focusing on the wind, this harbinger of change. For Nausicaa, where the setting is post-apocalyptic and nature is dead, the coming of change is in the film's finale, where a non-toxic tree sprouts, the world healing. Only in the Valley of the Wind, see the Valley of Change, can the adversity and strife that the world has faced to this point be overcome to make something beautiful. The wind has risen, and so they must try to live. Porco Rosso's use of planes against a backdrop of fascist Italy is given greater depth understanding The Wind Rises, fascist societies where uniformity and coherence to the stringent rule of the in-group is a necessity, arts and dreams are the enemy. So Porco Rosso, being a die-hard opposer to Italy's fascist government, is recontextualized with the idea of Miyazaki treating planes as a representation of arts and dreams. Marco isn't just ideologically opposed to Mussolini's government, the vast untamable dreams that he is linked to as Porco Rosso are in direct opposition to the authoritarian principles. The story becomes one of using art and freedom of expression to fight against totalitarian rule.
Thanks for the offer, but I'd rather be a pig than a fascist.
Even in My Neighbor Totoro, arguably Miyazaki's most benign film in terms of grand narrative meanings, becomes more when viewed through the lens of The Wind Rises. In the final act, when Mei is missing, Satsuki is put under great adversity, and yet, when the wind rises, she tries to live, employing the help of Totoro and the cat bus. And through this, the winds of change literally come. She finds Mei, and their adversity is rewarded with beauty, when they are able to deliver their mother her corn, and with it, their love. The Wind Rises is a thematically dense film. There's a lot of inspirations, ideas, and insinuations that have gone into it to create a multifaceted piece of art that I've only really scratched the surface of here. There are many more elements here to deconstruct to give a greater textural understanding of the many ideas Miyazaki was playing with here. But through its ever-present ideology of tragedy and beauty being intertwined, and the extended metaphors of the wind being change and planes being artistic dreams, it holds itself true to being an examination of the price of art and a reflection and recontextualization of an artist's career at the end of their 10-year journey. It could have been so easy for it to burst at the seams with how thematically dense it is, but hey, if anyone was going to pull it off, it was probably Miyazaki. So I leave this video essay as Miyazaki left us with Caproni's question: is making something beautiful worth the tragic costs? Leave your answer down below in the comments. I'm trying to drum up some engagement on this video, you know? Give a like, give a subscribe, it helps. Here's another video I did on Porco Rosso, another Miyazaki film. Go watch it. It will be appreciated. Bye.